everyone, it's Bree with Reading Rev, and I've had a couple of requests to do just a super quick, informal, non-edited video explaining how I set up my Everything Reading interactive notebook and some tips and tricks to make it as smooth as possible. So that's what we're going to do today. So step number one, tip number one, I set up my notebooks for my students before I ever hand them to them. I buy the notebooks in bulk or on sale at the beginning of the back to school sale, and then I spend some time actually putting the tabs in for them. I've tried it both ways with students doing it and realized it's just not a good use of time. And so I will put in the comments the page numbers of how many pages in between. Phonological Awareness doesn't have very many pages. There's not a lot to read or write about phonological awareness. Phonics has a ton. So the second thing that I do to make my life easier is I order the Avery Printable tabs. I'll put the number in the comments below, and when you purchase the Everything Reading notebook, you get the template that I created with the tabs already made. I even have a sticky note about how to put this page in my printer so that I'm not wasting tabs and I'm saving time. So step number one, set up the notebook ahead of time. You can hopefully have a para or parent volunteer or teenage kids do this for you ahead of time. But then you're going to hand a completely ready to go notebook to a student. The other quick comment I want to make is the tabs are the 5 components of reading, but spelling is a separate tab at the back. And I'm going to explain to you really quickly why I do that. Phonics is anything that is matching sound to symbol, and there are 6 phonetic patterns in English that you should be able to tap out. You're teaching them the patterns. These are green word patterns, and you really want to make sure that when you're thinking of phonics, you're thinking of matching sound to symbol. I differentiated the spelling tab because the spelling rules you can't hear. So for example, one of the spelling rules is the CK rule. When do you use a K? When do you use a C? Or when do you use a CK when you hear the sound K? So when a student is tapping that out, let's say the word is back, back, they won't be able to hear in phonetic rule patterns. They won't be able to hear which one to do. They just have to know a spelling rule in order to know which one of those letters it works. So I wanted to differentiate that for kids as well, that this isn't something that you can just tap out and hear. You have to know a really specific spelling rule for it. The second tip or trick in this is prep as much as you can ahead of time. So I actually just print out the entire Everything Reading notebook template, and then I prep almost all of it before school starts, or at least a month or 2 at a time. So I went to Hobby Lobby, I bought an amazing piece of furniture that has 12 of these drawers, and I dedicated a drawer for each of the concepts. And so before school starts, I make copies and cut all of the printables. And then that way, when I'm ready to teach, I simply just take out the drawer and I move to the next one. And it's a really great way to keep this whole process organized. So I have a drawer for phonetic patterns, I have a drawer for the syllable type cards, and I just have these prepped and ready to go weeks or months in advance. When you are going week by week in these lessons, the kids are not actually gluing a ton in this notebook. So usually Monday is my intro lesson or my explicit teaching lesson where I'm giving very systematic direct instruction. And so Monday is when we would, I'm going to find a page for you. Monday is when we would say, today we're learning a new phonetic pattern. Everyone's going to glue in the phonetic pattern, and we're going to look at this pattern with just single syllable words. I may have them take some notes, I may have them write samples here, and then I may, depending on my lesson or the grade, I may actually on Monday say, so this is the phonetic pattern. You can find it in single syllable words. You can also find it in multisyllabic words. So let's look at that same pattern. This is phonetic pattern number 2. that when a vowel stands alone, the vowel will be long. And so I can see that in single syllable words like she and go. I can also see that in multisyllabic words here. And then all throughout the week, we're going to just be adding words and possibly dictation sentences to this notebook as we go. However, they will have lots of practice and word work and games in the spelling packet that they have, the corresponding spelling packet, if you're using Reading Rev's phonics packets, phonics and spelling for intermediate grades program. So here's another example. This time we're going to be building as we go each diphthong, and then each day they're not taking all of these notes on Monday. Maybe on Monday we add some notes, we learn about it, and then each day they add a couple of words and a dictation sentence to their notebook. The beautiful thing about this is then 2 weeks later or 2 months later, when a student is struggling with that concept and that spelling packet has been long since recycled, you can go back to any previously taught concepts and add some words and review the pattern and add to this notebook. My third and final tip is kids will take forever to find the right page. I do not add the numbers because I just think it would maybe take a long time. But what I've found is if I give them a sticky note bookmark placeholder, I just say, take out your everything reading notebook and open up to your blue sticky note. And the blue sticky note is the phonetic pattern that we're working on. I may have a couple of sticky notes going if they're working on the open syllable in phonics, but we're working on cause and effect in comprehension. Then I may say, take out your everything reading notebook and turn to your purple sticky note for the comprehension page. So they may have a couple of bookmarks or a couple of sticky notes at play. And I found sticky notes work better than bookmarks because bookmarks just fall out. So my 3 tips and tricks for setting up the everything reading notebook. Number 1, set up the notebook for the students ahead of time. Number 2, prep the cutouts as much as you can ahead of time. And number 3, have bookmarks or sticky notes so students can find their place. Okay, I hope that helps. Leave comments and questions in the comments below and I can get those answered for you, and make sure that you follow us. Good luck this school year.